BTR 532573 PAL, Hunter's Walk, Reasonable Suspicion, Part 1, Take 1.
Just hang on a minute, will you?
What's it all about?
Go on, Scarpa!
What's he done?
Poor old devil. Nothing. Yet. No, it's pathetic. One of these old fellas. No family. Lives in a mullicking little room. He spends most of his time going round town poking about in dustbins. God knows what for.
Not exactly what you might call upsetting anybody.
Go on! In a couple of hours, he'll be drunk out of his mind, chucking punches at anybody else comes in handy. We have him in about once a fortnight. Just tell him to go home and behave himself. That's all.
Look, there's bound to be friction in my job.
That's all I'm saying.
All right, yes.
Right, so if
For
you do...
goodness sake, Jeff, shut up.
Look, why don't you go and help Maggie with a coffee?
Don't start giving me orders.
The women's lib.
Only happy when he's arguing.
Not arguing, darling, discussing.
With you, it's the same thing.
It's called having an inquiring mind.
It's called a pain in the neck.
Get the kitchen where you belong, woman.
Oh, your mother's got a lot to answer for.
Marry her. Little cracker, if you ask me. It's up here, mate. Up here. Oh, no, you're on, what do you call it? Night duty. My mistake, Constable.
Sorry, Maggie. Those two.
Makes a change from football.
Oh, Fred.
It's not my scene.
Well, it's bloody mine, and I do it the way I know how.
Which is precisely my point. You've been conditioned by the system.
I've been what?
You pay a certain type of man to do a certain type of job, and when he does it the way he knows how, the way the system makes him, you complain that he's overstepping the mark.
What do you mean, a certain type of man?
He knows what I mean, don't you, Constable?
Look, knock off this constable lot.
You know your trouble, don't you? You're a snob.
And to think that 50 years ago the working classes could neither read nor write.
Snob.
I don't condone it, but I understand.
Oh, understands everybody, does Geoffrey. Especially the workers. Oh, yes. You should have heard him when the power strike were on. Very understanding then he was.
He knows what I mean.
You'd have made a good cop.
Can you imagine?
Yes, I bloody can. You're so damn pompous.
She's annoyed. Always swears when she's annoyed.
What time are you on, Fred?
10 o'clock.
You know one of the biggest problems,
Oh,
don't you?
my
It's the car.
God, you're not
Most people
starting
drive a car, right?
Maggie,
Which means
where's
that
my
most of
car? I'll
us
fetch
are
it.
potential
Come on,
lawbreakers.
we're
I mean,
going.
wouldn't you say, from your experience, that 99 times out of 100, when the ordinary man in the street comes into contact, direct contact with the police, it's something to do with his car. Either it's been stolen or the breathalyzer
Are you
or something.
coming or what?
Look, I'm a copper. I do my job. That's all.
Don't be so defensive.
This is me one night off. I come here to see me girlfriend.
I'm sorry, we shouldn't have stayed.
Don't be silly, Pat.
Oh, great. Thanks.
I'm interested, that's all.
What do you do?
Ah,
No, come on, what do you do?
He works in an architect's office.
Dear. Well, my sister just moved into a new house and the bloody ceiling's fallen down.
Builder, not architect. I'm interested, that's all. Just trying to work out what makes you tick.
Makes me what?
Oh, come on now,
the
Jeff.
law.
Look, it's Lee.
Why joined?
Will you please come?
Why do you work in a builder's office?
Architect.
Because his father got him the job.
Because I'm interested and because I've got the qualifications.
Right.
Right. So what are your qualifications then?
I'm a sod.
I'll see to it that I stay out of your way then.
Yes, I would if I were you, because you're just about my mark.
Now you're getting nasty.
That's right.
Good night, pal.
No offence.
Look, just leave it alone, will you?
By the way, Oscar, she's driving, not me.
Jeff, come on, now.
Good night, love.
Go.
Come round, she says. We'll have a nice, quiet evening.
I didn't know they were coming.
Well, I should bloody hope not.
I haven't seen Pat for ages.
Well, you certainly made up for it, didn't you?
I said I'm sorry.
What the hell does she see in him?
I think she's beginning to wonder.
Bloody looking down his nose at me.
He was.
He were. As soon as they found out, you can see the look on their faces. If I'd have been an engineer or something, that'd have been it. End of conversation. But no. I'm a copper.
What makes me tick?
I'm sorry.
Dove, that's what you are.
I just get fed up with it, that's all.
You know, for somebody who gives out he's so sure of himself, you get really touchy, don't you?
I get fed up with defending what I do for a living.
Well, you know it with uniform, I fancy, don't you? I mean, you come a very poor second.
A lot of birds fancy me in that uniform.
Well, there you are. You love it, you know you do.
A living. That's all it is, a living. Pack it in tomorrow.
If what?
According to him, if I had the brains.
Isn't it fine?
Don't you start. Scored, didn't I? Harry? No, it doesn't matter.
BKP 387L NBD 941B. That's it, is it? Yeah, will do. Hey, we found that chipper's van, you know, in the woods. No, off the path, 100 yards into the trees, not a scratch on it. Smither reckons it was somebody's practicing for their advanced driving test. Passed and all in my book. Yeah. Well, I'll let you know if any of this lot turns up. Cheers, Dom. Ah. Keep your eyes out for a blue Cortina, will you? Don't know the number. Possibly J registration, not sure of that either. But anyway, dark blue Cortina. One, maybe two passengers.
Anything special, Sarge?
You should have been a ballet dancer.
Your dad were always saying that.
Them break-ins down the high street, had a bloke in, reckons he saw Cortina taking off. Be about the right time. And it fits in with the witness we got for the one last month, so keep your eyes open. He's about due for another crack.
Been a right mullock at the last shop he did. Dead clumsy. Must be a beginner.
Well, beginner or not, he's about 300 quid better off, much more of it, and someone will start getting the big stick out. See him all, Pooley, and you'll be doing yourself a nice little favour.
Do you mind if I ask you a question, Sarge?
You can ask.
How long did it take you to make sergeant?
It's a bit early for you to start thinking about that, isn't it?
Just interested.
I thought you were only interested in CRD.
Yeah, but, you know, just in case it, you know, don't work out.
5 years. Fancy us at the stripes, do you?
Don't fancy not having them. One of these days. Jesus, when I think of old Harry sitting
Old
in
Harry knows more about day-to-day police work than we'll know in a month of Sundays.
Yeah, I know that, but it's ambition, isn't it?
Know all about ambition, do you, Pooley?
I reckon you do.
I
I think you're just stupid driving up the motorway in the mood you're in.
I thought you'd finished.
If you're trying to worry me, all right, you're succeeding.
I don't bloody care.
It's the same every time you go away. You have to start a row. Why'd you do it, Neil? What are you trying to prove? How independent you are?
Oh, look, don't you understand anything? Well, you really get on my nerves.
Oh, go to hell, then. Look, it's gone 11. You'll get there in the middle of the night and be half asleep all day. I thought you said this meeting was important. If you've got to go on sulking, at least sulk on the sofa for the night.
I'll collect my things when I get back.
Oh, go to hell!
Yes?
What are you doing here?
I beg your pardon?
It's 12:30. I said, what are you doing here?
I'm thinking.
Thinking.
That's right, thinking. Some of us do it, you know.
Your car, is it?
Yes?
You want to tell me the number?
Look, it's my car.
Where were it taxed?
Northampton.
It says here, Hartford.
It's a second-hand car. Look, I've only had it a month. I've forgotten the number. I'm sorry.
Let's have a look at your licence, then. Insurance?
It's all here, officer.
Neil Edward Yeldham.
Yeldham. Y-E-L-D-H-A-M. All right?
How old are you?
Pardon?
Gloves.
I always wear gloves when I drive.
All right, where have you been?
Oh, come on.
What are you doing here?
What are you talking?
What's in that bag?
What bag?
You.
Look, it's none of your business.
I'm making it my business.
Look, officer, you're not dealing with some tuppenny-halfpenny little half-wit now, you know.
I'm asking you, what's in that bag?
But now, come on, you're just behaving like some tin-pot bloody Hitler.
All right, come on, let's have you out. Out!
Bloody marvellous, that is.
You all right?
You know, I've only got my flaming head bashed in.
Let's have a look.
No, I'm all right. Just leave me alone. That's my bag. You'll leave it alone.
All right, mister, whatever your name is, we'll sort this out at the station.
Oh, you're damn right we will.
Harry! The sergeant.
It's just come back.
Keep an eye on this one. We'll have a word with him, will you?
What's it all about, then?
Your friend's been coming the strong-arm stuff. That's what it's all about.
Pooley? I can't believe that.
Oh, look, what are you, the comic relief or something? I'm sorry, that was rude.
That's all right, son. It used to be Blue Bottle, now it's Pig. The only thing that's changed is the wages.
Pooley, you said?
That's right. Constable Pooley.
Well, I'm going to have your friend Pooley. You bloody see if I don't.
I ask him what's in the bag. He tells me to get knotted. You know, come in the big I am. Then he makes to start the engine, so I grab him.
This way in Plough Street?
Just round the corner from the jeweller's.
You sure he were on his own?
Well, I waited. I thought I spoke to her. I didn't see nobody.
But there could have been another one.
There could have been.
Nobody's looking for me, are they?
How'd you get on?
Waste of time.
Smithy, are you off?
What's that supposed to be?
Look, are you off, or aren't you?
Few notes to write up. Why?
Might have something for you on them break-ins. Right, let's have a word with him. Mr. Yeldon?
Yes?
Your full name, please, Mr. Yeldon.
Neil Edward Yeldon.
How old are you, Mr. Yeldon?
23. The 26th of March, 1950. Aries.
Your address?
84 Leicester Road, Northampton.
I must ask you to turn out your pockets.
Why?
Because you're under arrest, Mr. Yeldon. That's not be difficult, eh? Borrow car keys for a few minutes.
Why?
Just like to have a look at your car, that's all. Don't get it back. Now let's have that car checked out.
Right, Sarge.
And while you're there, check the lockups, especially that Childers. Get on to records, will you, Harry? See if he's got form,
And I'll check that address with Northampton.
yeah, fine. Now, I understand from my constable that you refused to open this bag.
That's right.
And you still refuse?
Hardly any point, is there? May I ask you what you're looking for?
Could be anything.
I see.
Jewellery, perhaps?
Well, I occasionally wear cufflinks.
Smart.
I want to see the senior officer.
The man in charge, you mean?
That's exactly what I mean.
You're seeing him.
You've no right to treat me like this.
You may not think so, Mr. Yeldon, but we've got every right.
Well, then perhaps you'd like to tell me what I'm supposed to have done.
Perhaps you'll tell me what you were doing there at this time of night.
That's my affair.
That depends.
On what?
On what we know, and you say you don't.
But you're treating me like a criminal.
If you're not, you've got nothing to worry about.
You pulled me out of my car and dragged me off to a police station in the middle of
Chose the time, we didn't.
Well, it's like bloody South Africa.
You were being questioned by a police officer. You refused to answer those questions. He asked you to get out of your car, instead of which you tried to drive away.
Well, he said that.
Didn't you?
If he said I tried to drive away, then he's a liar.
What's your version?
He told me to get out of my car. I went to get out, and out of sheer second nature, well, I just reached out for the ignition keys. The next thing I know, I'm being hauled off my feet, and you say he's doing his duty.
I know he were doing his duty.
Well, then God help us.
During the past 2 months, we've had 5 break-ins in this area. We've got reason to believe that Cortina's been used. You're seen in the right sort of car, in the right sort of area. You're questioned and you don't give satisfactory answers. That's why my officer pulled you in, and that's why we're right.
Do I look like a bloody criminal?
You pick out the criminal, and I'll give you a medal.
Word, Sarge.
Yeah.
Paulie just called in. Nothing on the car.
Shops?
Check in now. What do you reckon?
Let me know as soon as he gets back on. You know, the whole thing would be a lot easier if you told us what you were doing there.
I'll tell you what I told him. I was sitting in my car, minding my own business.
Now it's our business.
Because you made it so, no other reason.
All right, Mr. Yellum, cards on the table. I'm not satisfied.
You're treating me like a criminal.
You say.
Oh, look, all you can ever do is...
Suspected person.
Words!
For the time being, yeah.
Let me get one thing straight. I'm under arrest, right?
Arrested on suspicion, right.
Right.
Been brought in before, have you?
No, I bloody haven't.
You sure?
You can look it up.
We are.
You're checking up on me.
That's right. Start again, then.
No, just a minute. You mean to tell me that you're actually checking up to see if I've got a criminal record?
That's what I mean.
Good God Almighty.
I said we'll start again. What are you doing in Broadston this time of night?
I live here.
You said Northampton.
I stay with my girlfriend, all right?
With her tonight?
That's right.
Name?
Ruth Foreman.
Address?
24 Popham Terrace.
What time do you leave?
Oh, how romantic.
No, don't be smart.
Just before 12.
To go where?
Manchester.
What?
Business.
What, 3-hour drive, Manchester at 3 in the morning?
Yeah, well, I'm like that.
Try hard, did you?
Look, just mind your own damn business.
Why didn't you drive to Manchester? Harry! I'll give you another word. Cooperation.
And I'll give you one. Victimisation. Have you got a family?
Oh, a lad about your age.
Is he proud of his old man?
He brings his friends home. That's what you mean. How's the head?
You do try.
What do you think? Let him go?
You been on the records?
Waiting for him now.
Wait then. Do you want me to,
I'll manage. I don't know, Smithy.
You told Pooley to keep his eyes open, right?
Right.
He's turned up a possibility, right?
Right.
So what do you want? Catch 'em bang on the job all the time? Where's the satisfaction in that? Want to make the likes of me redundant?
Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
You got a suspect. You had one last year.
Oh, I've been waiting for that one.
You let him go because he was clever enough to brazen it out. He'd done 12 more jobs by the time we caught up with him again. You're doing your job. People don't like it. Then they don't like the shops being broken into either. It's inconvenient, makes a mess, puts the insurance rates up. That way we all pay. What do you want, an excuse? No problem. It's the phone.
brought some police up. Son Ridgeway.
Sarge. You were Smithy.
Yep. Cheers.
Sorry, Sarge. It's all okay.
Oh, Northampton's just been on there, checked his address, lives in Diggs. Landlady says he stays out all night once, maybe twice a week.
That's interesting.
Says he stays with his girlfriend, with her tonight.
Looks like he's in the clear then.
Not yet, son, not yet. Possibilities. 1. He's on his own, waiting to do the job. No breaking gear found on him, so unlikely. 2. He's already done the job. Nothing found on him, no signs of breaking, he'd hardly be sitting there. Very unlikely. 3. He's working with somebody else. Remember, the witness says he thought there were 2 men in the car. So you come along, the other one gets a smell, hops it. Hardly possible. 4. Just happens to be sitting there at 12:30 in the morning. You does your duty and you takes your choice.
Well, I had to pull him in, Sarge.
Well, you'd have been for the odd job if you hadn't.
I mean, you know, it would just been bloody
Yeah,
awkward.
all right, way downstairs.
With his girlfriend, he says.
Says.
Worth a visit.
Ah, Sempoli.
No, I'll go.
10 minutes ago, you were dead beat.
I'll wake up about this time of the morning. I've got a theory about it.
Hazard of the profession.
Job. Address.
Take over from Harry, will you?
Miss Foreman.
What do you want?
Detective Sergeant Smith, have I got a word?
You woke me up.
I'm sorry.
What time is it?
I won't keep you long.
What is it?
Do you know Mr. Yeldham?
Oh, my God, what's happened?
If I could just come inside.
He's been in an accident, hasn't he? I knew it.
No, nothing like that. Making some inquiries. Mr. Yeldham might be able to help us.
Neil?
If you could just verify...
Do you mean he's in trouble with the police?
We don't know. Trouble, I mean. Which is why I'm here. With you tonight, was he? What time do you leave?
About 11:30, perhaps a little later. Why?
Where was he going?
To Manchester.
Straight there?
As far as I know.
But he didn't know, did he?
How should I know?
No, you wouldn't, would you? You known him long?
About 3 months or so. Why?
Did he stay here often?
Once or twice a week, perhaps. It's not a crime.
It's not on buying business.
Then why ask?
Morals no, facts yes.
God, you really are what people say you are, aren't you?
Me?
Police.
Oh, that.
You come bursting in here, drag me out of bed without even saying why.
It's one way of finding out.
Finding out what?
If you know why. People do, you know. All sorts of people. The most unlikely sorts of people. You'd be surprised.
Not anymore.
That's nice.
Would you like to see a receipt?
Here's my problem, Miss Foreman. Let's see if you can help. What would your Mr. Yeldham be doing sitting in a car down a side street, 12:30 in the morning, 1 hour after he's left you and on his way to Manchester?
I've no idea.
Neither have we. And your Mr. Yeldham isn't making it easy for us.
Is it really that important?
You're a student, are you?
Yes?
Yeah, my niece is a student. Posters on the wall, the occasional demo. She wouldn't think it was important either. And it could be. Not to you, not to her, but... Which is why I come bursting in here, drag you up. Ask you lots of damn fool silly questions. Between you and me, Miss Foreman, I'd rather be at home putting my big cold copper's feet into my nice warm marital bed. Now, I don't know much about bombing Vietnam, but I do know that as long as shops get broken into, old ladies get damaged for a shilling, kids get lured into cars and assaulted, as long as what's loosely termed the human race fouls up the pavements instead of making daisy chains, there'll always be nasty little power-happy establishment lackeys like me asking law-abiding citizens like you stupid questions like this. I don't want to be here. I've got, as they say, a job to do. And when I came through that door, you said, "What's happened? There's been an accident." I knew it. Knew what, Miss Foreman?
It was the mood he was in. We'd had a row, that's why he left at that time.
Sulky sort of chap, is he?
Difficult. He'd prefer that.
So the chances are he's sitting in his car feeling sorry for himself, wondering whether he ought to come back here or not.
It happens.
It happened to me, Miss Foreman. Why the bloody hell couldn't he say so? Don't answer that. Just tell me where the phone is, then we can all get to bed.
Broughton Place on Ridgeway. Smithy. Yeah, they've just been through. Nothing now. Yeah. Send him on his way, then. Cheers.
Thanks.
Don't mention it. Just hope you don't wake your wife up, that's all.
Oh, murder. If I hadn't come round, it would have meant keeping him till the morning.
Just thought of that.
Could be.
If I were you, I'd be very nice to him from now on. If there's one thing he can't stand, it's people shoving him around.
I'm sorry to get you, Mr. Yeldham. I'm sure you appreciate why we had to do it.
You mean I can go?
That's right.
Just like that?
Not very pleasant, I know it weren't.
I want an apology.
I apologise for the inconvenience, certainly.
That isn't what I mean. I want an apology on the grounds that I should never have been brought here in the first place.
I've already explained, Mr. Yeldham. The constable were doing his duty.
Not from where I stand.
Harry, take a couple of statement forms through to Mr. Yeldham, will you? Doesn't trust me, wants to make it out himself.
What's all this then, Sarge?
He's making a statement while it's still clear in his mind, all right?
Well, what's clear?
He's making a complaint, Pooley. Unlawful arrest and assault. That's what he wants to get clear.
Thanks.
Right. Now, you asked him to get out.
I asked him to get out and he makes to start the engine.
Well, he says he were going for the key.
Then he's a liar.
Well, he'll say the same thing.
As far as I knew, he was going to start the engine and up it. I couldn't just stand there.
So you grabbed him?
When I saw him going for the keys.
Yeah. All right. Now, you went to get him out of the car, and he banged his head, right?
Well, I wouldn't have pulled him if he hadn't resisted. I asked him to get out, he wouldn't. And as for his head, he hardly touched it. And not even that, if he hadn't decided to make a fight on it.
Well, you saw his head were cut.
I saw him holding it, yeah. I asked him if he were all right. Starts ranting and raving about his head being bashed in. You know the way some of them carry on. They've only got to get within spitting distance. They'll all in blue murder. I mean, bloody hell, Sarge, what were I supposed to do? I didn't go charging in there, waving my stick. I asked him all the right questions, gave him every chance to be reasonable, but he just wasn't having any. He'd made up his mind from the word go. You could see it. One of these smart asses who thinks they know the rights. You know the sort. Looking down their noses at you, calling you officer, trying to make you look bloody small.
What are you getting so worked up about?
I am not worked up, Sarge. You know.
This thing goes through, you start puffing and blinding like that and you'll have trouble.
Sarge.
Where's Kennedy's office? I wouldn't go in for a minute if I was you, Smithy. He's got problems.
You didn't lose your temper. Well?
You know, Sarge.
No, I don't bloody know, which is why I'm asking.
He was deliberately having a go.
I'm not asking about him, I'm asking about you.
I might have got a bit shirty, yes.
Well, what are they paying for? Is it to get shirty, to get clever?
Well, what was I supposed to do? Get down on my hands and knees, offer him a bunch of flowers?
Don't get smart with me.
Well, for Christ's sake, Sarge. He could have pulled anything. You know the way some of them try and bluff it out.
Did you or did you not provoke him?
I did what I thought was right. I did what I'm supposed to do. He was looking for trouble from the word go.
So you keep saying?
Well, it's true.
Well, it weren't his attitude you pulled him in for, though, were it? Were it, Cooley?
Oh, it's just that sometimes
Sometimes you what?
It doesn't matter.
Sometimes you what?
Sometimes I've had enough, that's all.
You what? 10 minutes in the force and you've had enough. You should have been a bloody ballad dancer.
I didn't mean that.
Then what did you mean?
I meant tonight.
Something special about tonight, is it?
It doesn't matter,
Oh,
Sarge.
come on, Poley. What's so special about tonight?
I'm not a machine. I'm not something you can switch on and off. I'm entitled to get fed up at times.
About what?
About the way people go on. On and on and on. Why are you a copper? What qualifications have you got? How much dropsy do you take?
Is that what he said?
Not him. I went round to Miguel's tonight. There were this fella there. Showing off. You know, trying to put me down.
Oh, and that stuck in your throat, did it?
Maybe I need a tonic or something. I don't know.
So when you met our friend in there, you were in a bit of a mood.
He fitted the description of the bloke we were looking for. That's why I spoke to him, and that's why I brought him in.
You're quite sure you didn't go out tonight looking for trouble?
That's what you think, is it, Sarge?
Wait in the office. I might want you.
Harry told me. Writing up his notes, is he?
It's privilege.
Is there anything I can do?
Such as?
Well, I'll get off to bed then. Oh, by the way, his girlfriend says to tell him if he's got any sense, he'll spend the rest of the night at her place.
Oh, pity he didn't stay there earlier.
They had a row.
Oh, what?
That's what he was doing there. In the car. Sulking. He's like that, so she reckons. See you in the morning.
Hang about, Smithy. Tell me more.
I'll see you in the morning.
Night, Smithy.
pulled him out of that car because you thought he were going to make off, and for no other reason.
That's the truth, Sarge.
Nearly finished.
Take your time.
Somebody else moving in, is there?
Not that sort of night.
I suppose you think I'm just being damn awkward. Well, I can assure you I'm not just doing this for the fun of it.
You think you've got a grievance? That's fair enough.
What happened to me tonight isn't important.
It's the principle.
You think that's funny?
I think you'd like to think I do.
So that you can chalk me up as just another troublemaker?
Not chalking you up as anything.
Don't be too complacent, Sergeant. You've chosen the wrong man.
Which particular principle are we talking about?
It's called the freedom of the individual.
Tricky word, that. Freedom.
Oh, well, let me give you my version. One of your police constables has behaved in a manner which completely exceeded his duty without reason and worse, without any form of redress from a superior officer, you, Sergeant. Now, what happened to me tonight was interference for the sake of interference, and you know it. Happens all the time.
Does it?
Read your newspapers.
I'll tell you what I have read, Mr. Yeldham. This. The Criminal Law Act 1967. I think you ought to read it. Section 2, subsections 4 and 5.
I think I'd rather you just told me.
Well, roughly speaking, it says this, Mr. Yeldham. A constable may arrest without warrant any person whom he, with reasonable cause, suspects either to be guilty of an arrestable offence or about to commit such an offence. Reasonable suspicion, Mr. Yeldham.
I would say that that is just about the biggest attack on civil liberty that's ever been set on paper.
Section 2, subsections 4 and 5.
Don't people like you ever stop to think what that means? That anybody at any time can be stopped and pulled in just when you feel like it?
The duty of a police constable is clearly defined in this act. My constable were doing his duty according to the book.
Like hell he was.
Then you're not just concerned with what happened to you, are you? It's the principle. It's not just the individual constable you're complaining about, is it? It's the system which gives him his authority.
Give the police that sort of power and God only knows what use they'll put it to.
Reasonable suspicion, Mr. Yeldham.
Do you really think that's protection enough?
I think it just about balances out.
Then what reasonable suspicion did he have?
Enough to satisfy me, Mr. Yeldham.
Well, I'd hardly expect anything else.
Closing the ranks, is it?
Isn't it?
He were told to keep a lookout for a car which we've reason to believe has been used in a series of break-ins. A car like yours, Mr. Yeldham, a dark blue Cortina with a J registration.
My car is green.
At night time, the witness could have been mistaken.
I'll make a note of it
At
anyway.
12:30 in the morning,
Oh, now
you're
come on, you make that sound like the middle of the night.
Well, time this side's got midnight of a Sunday. We're not talking about the big city. We're talking about here, in a side street near the back entrance to a jeweller's. He asked what you're doing there. You won't tell him. He asked what's in the bag you're carrying. You won't tell him that either, and you still say weren't carrying out his duty.
Exceeding his duty.
According to you, Mr. Yeldham, but not according to the book. Look. Supposing it were your car, it had been stolen. Supposing it were your shop, it had been broken into. Supposing you found out he'd seen someone sitting in the car and just strolled on by. What about his duty then? Or supposing you were an arcade sitting there with a shotgun, ready to blow his face off. Because that happens, Mr. Yeldham. And like you say, it's all in the papers. There's one or two coppers' widows who'll put you very straight about that one.
I am well aware the police have a difficult job. What I'm talking about is the man's attitude.
What, overbearing, will he? Pompous? Typical copper? There you are, sitting in your car, minding your own business, and up he comes, sticking his nose in. Do you know what, Mr. Yeldham? I'd have felt as irritated as you did because you were irritated, weren't you?
Well, obviously.
What did you say to him when he first spoke to you?
Well, I can't remember.
He can. Put it down in your statement. I'm thinking. That's what you said.
Probably.
I'm thinking. Some of us do it, you know. Now, why did you say that, I wonder, Mr. Yeldham?
Well, it's just one of those stupid things that you say.
Think about it! Some of us. Implication, would you call it, or a downright bloody insult? Say that to the wrong sort of fella in the pub and you might get a glass stuck down your throat, and before you start thinking I'm making excuses for him, you're wrong. What I'm saying is that what you call his attitude were inevitable when someone give the sort of answers you gave. You're an educated man. Think about it. I mean, you refused to open the bag for him. Why? There was nothing in it.
Precisely.
You opened it for me.
As I said at the time, there was hardly any point.
Then what were the point before? Who were being awkward then? And don't tell me you know your rights, Mr. Yeldon, because according to this, you don't.
You seem to forget that I was dragged out of my car.
Oh, did he ask you to get out?
I shouldn't think he knows the meaning
Well,
of the
didn't he
word.
warn you opposite
I mean,
car
he
door?
told me to get out.
How many times? Once,
Probably.
twice, and you still refused.
I was getting out of the car when he
Without
stopped.
any reason, he jerked
Without
out the
any
car.
reason whatsoever.
But you could have been reaching for the keys, trying to turn on the engine.
I was taking the keys out.
But you could have been turning on the engine. I could have been taking a swipe at you. You had about half a second to make up your mind.
I would have said that that was a very cheap way of failing to make a point.
Both of you could have been mistaken. Now, that's all I'm asking you to consider.
You seem to be forgetting this.
No, I'm not forgetting.
Oh, I see. Reasonable suspicion allows for that too, does it?
You were resisting arrest.
Oh, come on.
What do you call it?
I was being hauled out of my car by one of your police...
You banged your head, he banged it, deliberate accident. Can you honestly say what happened? I mean, would it ever have happened if you got out of the car when he asked you to? He believed one thing, you believed another. Wasn't what happened inevitable? It's unfortunate, maybe. Only unnecessary, maybe. But inevitable.
It happened. That's all that matters.
When you're ready, I'll get someone to drive you back.
I'm sorry you couldn't make me change my mind.
Let me tell you the form, Mr. Yeldon. Your complaint will be investigated by a senior police officer, more than likely from another force. He interviews Constable Pooley and takes statements from everyone concerned. Your girlfriend, for instance, she might be able to say what you were doing there. She might even be able to say what sort of mood you're in, things like that. Now, because it's an allegation of a criminal offence, the papers will be sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions. He'll decide whether to institute proceedings with a police constable or whether there's not enough evidence to form the basis of a charge. You'll be informed in writing of his decision. Now, if he decides there isn't enough evidence, you'll also be told that you're at liberty to institute your own proceedings. That is, of course, if you're not satisfied. A lot of people don't like the idea of police investigating police, and you, Mr. Yeldon, being a man of principle, will no doubt agree with them. So if they go against you, you stick to your guns and go for a civil action. You never know your luck. Get him into court and it might mean prison. Make your statement, Mr. Yeldon. You make quite sure you know your rights and make your statement. I won't like it, because whatever happens, it's a mark against me. But what I like even less is the thought of you wandering around thinking you've been hard done by. So do it, Mr. Yeldon. Make your statement. Go home. And do it.
Excuse me. That's the statement. I've kept a copy for myself, all right?
That's right.
The sergeant said something about a car?
It's waiting for you outside.
Good night.
Cheers.
I'll get someone over first thing in the morning. Shaken up, was she? Yeah. Well, there's no point tonight. Cheers.
do you reckon then, Sarge?
What do I think, Pooley? I think they'll send him a nice little letter and that'll be that. Unless he decides to take it further himself, if he can find a solicitor who thinks he's got a good enough case.
Cocky bastard.
Feeling pleased with yourself, are you, Pooley? Feeling good? Go on, get out.
Come on. Come on, Smiler.
Ewan Hooper is director of the Greenwich Theatre.